Jake Morrison stood in the center of the biggest room he had ever seen. The walls went up so high he could barely see the top. Around him sat creatures from hundreds of different worlds. Some looked like giant birds with glowing feathers. Others had too many arms or eyes in strange places. A few were just balls of light floating in clear boxes. All of them were staring at him. Jake wore his best uniform. The blue fabric had gold buttons that caught the strange light from above. Behind him stood Captain Lisa Hayes and her crew from the Earthship Horizon. They all looked nervous, but they tried not to show it. The bird-like creature at the front of the room spread her see-through wings. She was beautiful in a scary way. Her voice came through the speakers that let everyone understand each other. "The vote is done," she said. Her words echoed through the huge space. By a count of 287 votes for and 13 votes against, the humans are banned from our space. You have 60 days to remove all humans from beyond your home system. Jake felt his stomach drop. 60 days. There were over 2 billion humans living on worlds far from Earth. How could they move everyone in just 60 days? A creature that looked like a giant lizard with gold scales leaned forward. His chair floated in the air without touching anything. "Humans are too dangerous," he said with a voice like grinding rocks. "They grow too fast. They build too many weapons. They ask too many questions. They don't follow rules." Dr. Helen Carter stepped up next to Jake. She was Earth's best expert on alien life. Her gray hair was pulled back tight and her eyes were sharp. "We have followed every rule you gave us," she said. "We shared our music and our food. We helped other species when they asked. What did we do wrong?" The lizard creature's scales turned darker. "You protected those colonies when we told you to leave them empty. You would not give us your terraforming machines. Every time we make a decision, you argue with us." A being made of pure light in a crystal container started glowing red with anger. "You think you know better than species that have lived for millions of years. You are young and foolish and dangerous." Jake looked around the room at all the alien faces. Some looked sad. Some looked angry. Most looked afraid. That was when he understood what was really happening. This was not about rules or aggression. This was about fear. They were afraid of what humans might become if they kept growing and learning and exploring. The bird creature at the front spoke. "Again, do you accept this judgment?" Jake straightened his shoulders. He looked right at her with steady eyes. "Earth accepts your decision. We will be gone from your space within 60 days. Whispers filled the huge room. The alien seemed surprised that he agreed so quickly. They probably expected him to beg or argue or make threats. As they walked out of the chamber, Captain Hayes moved close to Jake. She kept her voice very quiet. "Jake, how can we move everyone in 60 days? We have families and children and old people scattered across 47 different star systems. Our biggest ships can only carry a few thousand people each. Even if we used every ship we have, we could not save everyone." Jake's face was calm, but his eyes were cold as winter ice. "Who said anything about saving them by bringing them home?" "Captain." Hayes looked confused. "What do you mean?" "They want us out of their space," Jake said as they walked down the long hallway toward their ship. "They did not say we had to go back to Earth." Dr. Carter caught up with them. Her face was pale, but she looked excited. "You mean we could go somewhere else? Somewhere they do not control?" Jake nodded. "The galaxy is huge. These council species only control maybe 15% of it. We have explored maybe 5%. That leaves 80% that belongs to no one." They reached their ship and went inside. The crew was waiting to hear what happened. When Jake told them about the vote, some of the younger crew members looked ready to cry. The older ones just looked angry. "So what do we do now?" asked Lieutenant Danny Parker. He was the ship's engineer and had grown up on one of the outer colonies. "Jake, sat down in his captain's chair, and looked at the faces around him. These were good people, smart people, brave people. They had followed Earth to the stars and built new homes on worlds that had never known human footsteps. "We do what humans have always done when someone tells us we cannot go somewhere," Jake said. "We find a new somewhere to go." Captain Hayes was studying star charts on her screen. "The deep space probes have found thousands of worlds beyond Council space. No one claims them because they are too far from the trade routes. It would be dangerous," Dr. Carter said. "No backup if something goes wrong. No help if we get sick or hurt. No guarantee that we could survive." Jake smiled for the first time since entering the council chamber. But it would be ours, completely ours. No rules except the ones we make. No limits except the ones we choose. The crew was quiet for a long moment. Then Lieutenant Parker spoke. "Up, when do we start?" Within hours, secret messages went out to every human settlement. The public channels talked about preparing for evacuation back to Earth. But the real messages, sent through hidden networks, told a different story. On mining stations and research bases, on colony worlds and space platforms, humans got the same message. Pack everything. We are not going home. We are going further than any human has ever gone before. The aliens thought they were getting rid of a problem. What they had really done was give humanity the greatest gift possible, complete freedom to become whatever they wanted to be. Countdown had begun. In 60 days, humans would leave Council space forever. But they would not be running away. They would be running towards something amazing. General Peter Brooks stood in Earth's war room looking at a giant map made of light. The map showed every place humans lived in space. Red dots marked each colony, mining station, research base, and space platform. There were thousands of them, scattered across 47 star systems. Each dot represented thousands or millions of people who called those places home. "The aliens expect us to abandon everything," said Admiral Kate Sullivan. She commanded all of Earth's deep space ships. Her voice was hard with anger. "They think we will run back to Earth like scared dogs." Secretary of Defense Ryan Clark leaned over the light table. His face looked tired. He had not slept much since the Council's vote. "General, what would it take to actually move everyone? If we really tried to bring them all back to Earth?" General Brooks shook his head. "Impossible. Even if we used every transport ship, every cargo hauler, every passenger liner we have, we could maybe move 40% of our people in 60 days. The rest would be stuck out there forever, cut off from Earth." The door opened and President Maria Santos walked in. She was a small woman, but when she entered a room, everyone noticed. Her face was serious, but her eyes were bright with determination. "Then we do not evacuate," she said. "We relocate." The room went quiet. Everyone stared at her. Ryan Clark was the first to speak. "Madam President, if we ignore the Council's order, they might attack us or they might what?" President Santos interrupted. "Ban us harder? They already told us to get out of their space, fine, but they never said which direction we had to go." Admiral Sullivan's eyes went wide as she understood. "The outer rim, beyond Council space completely." "Exactly," the President said. She walked to the light map and pointed at the dark areas beyond the known systems. "For 200 years, we have explored maybe 5% of our galaxy. The Council controls perhaps 15%. That leaves 80% of the Milky Way that no one has claimed." Dr. Alex Porter was Earth's top space scientist. He brought up new star charts on the display. "Our deep space survey ships have found thousands of worlds that could support human life beyond Council borders. No one wants them because they are too far from the trade routes that make money." General Brooks nodded slowly. "It would be very dangerous. No backup if things go wrong. No support network. No promise that anyone would survive. But it would be ours," President Santos said firmly. "Completely ours." Within an hour, secret messages flashed across human space faster than light. The public news channel showed humans preparing to evacuate back to Earth, but the real messages, sent through hidden quantum networks, told a completely different story. Colony Administrator Ben Wright on the world of Kepler 442b got his secret orders and smiled grimly. His world was home to 3 million people who had spent their whole lives building farms and cities under an alien sun. They were not about to give that up. "Pack everything," he told his deputy, Carol Stone. "We are not going back to Earth. We are going further than any human has ever gone." Carol looked worried. "Ben, what if we cannot find a good world? What if we run out of food or fuel or medicine?" Ben looked out the window at the golden wheat fields that stretched to the horizon. Human hands had planted those fields. Human sweat had watered them. Human hope had made them grow. "Carol, my great-grandfather left Ireland with nothing but the clothes on his back. He went to America not knowing if he would live or die. But he knew he would rather die free than live under someone else's rules. That is what we are going to do. We are going to find our own America on the stars." Similar conversations happened on mining stations among the asteroids, on research bases studying strange new stars, on factory ships that turned raw materials into useful things. Everywhere humans lived beyond Earth, they got the same message. Prepare to go further into the unknown. The hardest part was keeping it secret from the aliens. The Council had spy satellites and monitoring stations throughout human space. They watched everything humans did, looking for signs of trouble. What they saw looked exactly like what they expected. Ships moving between human worlds. Resources being gathered together. People being moved from smaller settlements to bigger ones. To alien eyes, it looked like a species getting ready to pack up and go home. They had no idea that humans were preparing for the biggest journey in Galactic. History. Captain Jenny Walsh commanded a convoy of mining ships in the Tau Ceti system. Her ships had spent 10 years digging valuable metals out of asteroids. Now they were packing up their equipment, but not to take it back to Earth. "Load everything," she told her crews. "The mining platforms, the refinery equipment, the fabrication units. If we built it, we take it with us." Her chief engineer, Tom Bradley, looked at the massive operation. "Captain, some of this stuff weighs as much as a small moon." "Are you sure we can move it all?" Jenny smiled. "Tom, humans moved entire cities across the American continent with nothing but horses and wagons. We have fusion engines and antigrav lifters. We can move anything we need to move." The preparation took weeks. Every human settlement became a hive of activity. Children helped pack family belongings. Scientists carefully stored decades of research. Engineers dismantled and loaded equipment that had taken years to build. But the most important thing they packed was not equipment or supplies. It was hope. Dr. Sarah Kim was Earth's leading expert on terraforming, the science of making dead worlds suitable for human life. She worked day and night to copy all of Earth's terraforming knowledge onto portable data cores. "If we are going to live on worlds that have never known life," she told her assistant, "we need to know how to make them bloom." As the days passed, the alien monitoring stations reported exactly what the Council expected to see: massive movement throughout human space. Ships gathering at collection points. Resources being consolidated. People being relocated. It looked like a defeated species, preparing to retreat to their home world. The aliens had no way of knowing that humanity was actually preparing to spread across the galaxy like never before. They were about to discover that when you try to cage humans, you do not get prisoners. You get explorers with nothing left to lose, and an entire galaxy to gain. Commander Tony Garcia stood on the bridge of the colony ship New Hope, watching the last moon of the Kepler system disappear behind them. His ship was huge, almost like a floating city. Around him, 42 other ships moved through space toward the edge of the galaxy. Some were colony transports like his. Others were cargo ships, mining vessels, and research ships. All of them carried humans heading into the unknown. "Final count, Commander," said Navigation Officer Linda Walsh. She was young but very good at her job. 47,231 people aboard this convoy. "We saved everyone we could from the Kepler colonies." Tony nodded. This was just one group of many. All across human space, similar fleets were heading in different directions. Some went toward the galactic north, others went south. Still others aimed for the distant spiral arms where no intelligent life had ever been found. Each fleet carried people, equipment, and most importantly, hope for humanity's future. Chief Engineer Danny Parker looked up from his control panel. "Fusion engines are running perfectly. We should reach the first waypoint in 18 days. The waypoints were empty star systems beyond Council space that Earth's robot scouts had found over the past 100 years. They would serve as rest stops and fuel stations for the great journey. More importantly, they would be places where the fleet commanders could decide where to go next. Dr. Jennifer Adams was the fleet's head scientist. She walked over to Tony's command station carrying a tablet full of data. "Commander, I have been studying the star charts for our destination. The Cassiopeia arm shows signs of at least 40 worlds that might support human life within 50 light years. If even half of them work out, we will have room to spread out again." Tony finished her sentence. "Good. Humans have always been good at finding new places to call home." Behind them, in the space they had left, alien powers were starting to realize something was wrong. Zephyrian spy satellites detected massive energy signatures moving toward the galactic rim. Valkyrie sensors tracked thousands of human ships, but they were not going toward Earth like they were supposed to. In the council chambers, the same aliens who had voted to banish humanity were having an emergency meeting. "They are not going home." The Altarian delegate pulsed with confused yellow light. "They are expanding outward." The Valkyrie representative's scales turned dark green with worry. "This is not what we wanted." They were supposed to go back to their home system and stay there, weak and contained. Prime Minister Zalara of the Zephyrians consulted with her advisors before speaking. Her beautiful wings flickered with nervous energy. The vote was to banish them from Council space. "Technically, they are doing what we asked. They are leaving our territory. But they are going to unclaimed space," said the Centaurian delegate. His crystal body chimed with distress like broken glass. "They could build an entire civilization out there, beyond our reach, beyond our control." The chamber filled with worried chatter. For the first time, the council members understood what they had really done. They expected humanity to be weakened and made harmless. Instead, they had given humans the greatest gift possible: freedom. From oversight and unlimited room to grow. Meanwhile, aboard the New Hope, Tony received a message from another convoy commander. Captain Susan Wright was leading a fleet of mining ships toward the galactic south. "Tony, we just passed the last council monitoring station." Her voice came through the quantum communicator. "From here on, we are in empty space. No rules, no regulations, no aliens telling us what we can and cannot do." Tony smiled. "How does it feel, Susan?" "Scary," she admitted, "but also exciting. My grandfather used to tell stories about the pioneers who crossed the American continent in covered wagons. They did not know what they would find, but they kept going anyway. That is what we are doing now, except our wagons are starships and our continent is the galaxy." The days passed slowly as the fleets pushed deeper into unexplored space. Every day took them further from the safety of known systems and closer to the edge of galactic civilization. But the humans aboard the ships did not seem afraid. If anything, they seemed excited. Children born on distant colonies had never seen Earth, but they had grown up hearing stories about brave humans who left everything behind to find new homes among the stars. Now they were part of that story. Maria Santos, a teacher aboard the New Hope, gathered her students in the ship's observation lounge. Through the clear walls, they could see stars that no human had ever named. "Where are we going, Teacher Santos?" asked 8-year-old Billy Chun. Maria pointed at a bright star ahead of them. "We are going there, Billy, to new worlds where we can build new homes and new cities. Places where your children and grandchildren will grow up free." "Will there be monsters?" asked another child. Maria smiled. "Maybe, but if there are, we will deal with them the same way humans always have, together." Dr. Adams spent her time studying the sensor data that came back from the scout ships flying ahead of the main fleet. What she found was amazing. The region they were heading toward was rich with planets, resources, and possibilities. Most importantly, it was completely empty of intelligent life. "Commander," she told Tony, "we are heading toward a treasure. Dozens of worlds we can terraform. Asteroid belts full of rare metals. Gas giants we can mine for fuel. It is like the galaxy saved the best parts for us." Tony looked at the data with wonder. "How long until we reach the first suitable world?" 3 weeks, Dr. Adams replied. "A planet about the size of Earth, with water and an atmosphere we can breathe, with just a little help from our equipment. We could have 1 million people living there within 5 years." As the fleets continued their journey into the dark, they carried with them everything humanity had learned about survival, innovation, and determination. Behind them lay the safety of known space. Ahead lay darkness, danger, and infinite possibility. They had been thrown out of civilized space. Now they were going to build their own civilization, bigger and better than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The age of human expansion had truly begun. Captain Chris Anderson stood on the observation deck of Humanity Station, looking down at the world below. 2 years ago, this place had been empty space. Now it was the heart of human civilization in the free zone. The station was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Through the clear windows he could see New Geneva, a beautiful world that had grown from nothing to house nearly 1 million people. "Status report, Captain," came Director Nancy Price's voice over the communication system. As the leader of the Free Zone Development Council, she kept track of all human activities across hundreds of star systems. "Everything is going better than we hoped," Chris reported. "The New Geneva shipyards finished their 15th Deep Space Explorer yesterday. The mining operations in the Vega Belt are producing more rare metals than we ever got in Council space. And the farming worlds have so much extra food we do not know what to do with it all." It was amazing progress. Without the Council's rules limiting expansion and development, humanity had spread across the galactic rim like wildfire. Every ship that arrived brought not just refugees, but skilled workers, scientists, engineers, and dreamers who saw endless opportunity in the vast emptiness. Dr. Kevin Baker was head of the Free Zone Scientific Consortium. He joined Chris at the window, looking down at the busy world below. "Our exploration fleets have found over 200 worlds that could support human life within our growing territory. At the rate we are expanding, we will have active settlements on half of them within 10 years. What made this growth possible was something the Council never expected: human adaptability. Where other species needed specific air and temperature, humans changed themselves or their environments to fit. Where aliens needed complex support systems, humans learned to survive on almost nothing. Every challenge became a chance to innovate and improve. On the mining world of Tau Ceti Prime, Foreman Rick Turner watched his crews extract more materials in a month than most Council worlds managed in a year. Human mining methods, improved by necessity and freedom from regulations, had changed everything about resource gathering. "The secret," Rick told his assistant Ellen Brooks, "is that we are not afraid to try new things. The Council species play it safe and stick to old methods. We experiment, fail fast, and adapt faster. This philosophy spread to every part of human expansion. In the research stations of the outer labs, scientists like Dr. Paul Mitchell pushed the limits of physics without committees or restrictions imposed by alien bureaucrats. Their breakthroughs in faster communication, zero-point energy, and world-shaping technology advanced human capabilities beyond anything they had achieved before. But the most important development was political. Without the Council's universal laws, human settlements began trying new forms of government, economic systems, and social organization. Some colonies chose radical democracy where everyone voted on everything. Others tried corporate systems, where the smartest people made decisions. Still others developed completely new political frameworks based on human psychology and behavior. The diversity of human civilization flourished like never before. Back in Council space, the alien powers watched this explosion of human activity with growing fear. Their long-range sensors detected massive energy signatures and industrial activity that dwarfed their own civilizations. Most troubling of all, they saw signs of rapidly advancing technology. They have been gone only 2 years, the Valkyrie delegate reported to an emergency council session. In that time, they have built more new settlements than we have seen in the past century. Their industrial output exceeds several of our member species combined. The Zephyrian Prime Minister's wings shook with nervous energy. Perhaps we should try to contact them diplomatically, offer them limited membership, bring them back under some form of control. The Altarian representative pulsed with doubtful red light. They ignored our authority when they were members. Why would they accept restrictions now that they are completely free of us? Unknown to the Council, humanity was asking itself the same question. In the halls of Humanity Station, President Santos addressed colonial representatives through quantum communication links that connected hundreds of worlds. They banished us, she said simply. They made it clear we were not welcome in their civilized galaxy. Now they want to talk because they realize we are becoming too powerful to ignore. The question is, do we want anything to do with them? The answer came back from world after world, colony after colony. It was unanimous and clear. Commander Lisa Hayes, now serving as coordinator for Human Defense Forces, stood before a holographic display showing the Free Zone's military capabilities. What she saw would have shocked the Council delegates who remembered the small human fleet from 2 years ago. We now have over 300 combat vessels, she reported to the Defense Council. Each one is more advanced than anything in Council space. Our weapons can crack asteroids. Our shields can deflect energy that would destroy planets. And our crews have grown up in the frontier where every day is a fight for survival. Dr. Jennifer Adams, now head of the Free Zone Technology Institute, added her own report. Our research has advanced beyond anything the Council species have achieved. We have developed materials stronger than diamond, energy sources that could power entire star systems, and medical technology that can extend human life for centuries. But perhaps the most important achievement was not technological or military. It was cultural. The humans of the Free Zone had developed something the Council species had lost long ago. The willingness to take risks and push boundaries. Young people who had grown up on frontier worlds did not know the word impossible. They had seen their parents turn dead rocks into garden worlds, empty space into thriving cities, and hopeless situations into amazing opportunities. When 16-year-old Amy Cooper finished her education on New Geneva, she did not dream of a safe job in an established industry. She dreamed of joining an exploration fleet and finding new worlds for humanity to call home. There are so many stars out there, she told her parents. So many worlds we have not seen yet. I want to be part of finding them. Her parents, who had been among the original refugees from Council space, understood completely. They had raised their daughter in a civilization that believed the only limits were the ones you accepted. As the second anniversary of the Exodus Approached, humanity had transformed from a banished species into a galactic civilization that rivaled the Council itself. They controlled hundreds of star systems, commanded technology that seemed like magic, and most importantly, had built a society where human potential could flourish without limits. The species that had been cast out as too dangerous to control had become too powerful to ignore, and they were just getting started. Admiral Scott Reynolds commanded a fleet that the galaxy had never seen before. The 30 ships of the human deep-range fleet were the best that unrestrained human engineering could create. Each vessel was twice the size of anything in Council space, powered by zero-point reactors that turned empty space into energy, and armed with weapons that could split moons in half. The crews were humans who had grown up in the endless frontier of the free zone, people who had never bowed to alien authority. They were returning to Council space, not as beggars or refugees, but as representatives of a civilization that had grown beyond all recognition. Long-range sensors are picking up the first Council monitoring stations, reported Lieutenant Grace Cooper from her navigation console. They are scanning us, but I do not think they understand what they are looking at. Captain Lisa Hayes, now serving as Admiral Reynolds' diplomatic officer, smiled coldly. They are about to find out. The human fleet did not sneak or hide. They announced their presence with a communication that reached every receiver in the sector. This is Admiral Scott Reynolds of the Human Free Zone Fleet. We request passage to the Galactic Council chambers for diplomatic purposes. The response was immediate panic. Council defense forces scrambled their fastest interceptor ships, but when they reached the human fleet, the alien pilots could only stare in shock. The human ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls gleaming with energy fields that made them look almost magical. When the lead interceptor pilot asked them to slow down for inspection, Admiral Reynolds' response was polite but firm. "We appreciate your concern, but we are traveling under diplomatic immunity to address the Council. We will not submit to inspection or delay." What could the Council forces do? The human ships were clearly more advanced than anything in their arsenal. An attack would be suicide, and technically, the humans were operating within interstellar law. News of the fleet's approach raced ahead of them, reaching the Council chambers hours before their arrival. When Admiral Reynolds finally stood before the assembled delegates, the same chamber that had banished humanity 5 years ago now hosted a very different kind of human representative. Gone was the apologetic tone of Ambassador Morrison. Reynolds stood in the gleaming uniform of the Free Zone Fleet, his bearing that of someone who had never submitted to alien authority and never would. "Honored delegates," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. 5 years ago, you voted to banish humanity from Council space. We complied with your wishes and left. Now we return not as petitioners, but as neighbors. The Valkyrie delegate leaned forward, his scales shifting to an aggressive orange color. "You were banished. Your presence here violates Council law." Reynolds smiled without warmth. "Council law applies to Council space and Council members. We are neither. We come as representatives of the human free zone, a sovereign interstellar civilization that encompasses over 400 star systems and nearly 3 billion citizens." The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. 400 systems? That was larger than many Council species' entire territories. Prime Minister Zalara's wings fluttered nervously. "What do you want from us?" "Trade agreements," Reynolds replied calmly. "Navigation rights through your space for our commercial vessels, perhaps cultural exchanges. We have developed quite a lot in the past 5 years that might interest you." Dr. Jennifer Adams, now serving as the Free Zone's chief technological representative, stepped forward. "We have made significant advances in terraforming, zero-point energy, faster-than-light communication, and medical nanotechnology. We are prepared to share some of these innovations in exchange for similar consideration." The Altarian delegate pulsed with suspicious yellow light. And if we refuse? Reynolds' expression did not change. Then we return to our space and continue our expansion. The galaxy is vast, delegates. There is room for all of us. The unspoken message was clear. With or without the Council's cooperation, humanity would continue to grow. They were no longer asking for permission or seeking approval. They were informing their former overlords of new realities. In the hours that followed, the Council discovered just how much those realities had changed. Intelligence reports revealed that the human fleet in their system was just one of dozens operating throughout the free zone. The species that had been banished as too dangerous to control had become too powerful to ignore. During a break in negotiations, Admiral Reynolds spoke privately with some of the Council delegates who had voted against the original banishment. The Andromedan ambassador, a being of crystallized thought, approached him with curiosity. "We warned them this would happen," the ambassador said. "We told them that humans respond to challenges by becoming stronger, not weaker. They would not listen." Reynolds nodded. "Fear makes people do foolish things. They were afraid of what we might become, so they gave us the freedom to become exactly that." The Andromedan's crystal form shifted colors as he processed this. "What happens now? Will humans seek revenge for the banishment? Revenge?" Reynolds looked genuinely surprised. "Why would we want revenge? They gave us the greatest gift possible. They freed us from their limitations and let us discover what we could truly accomplish." The negotiations continued for 3 days. In the end, the Council had little choice but to accept the new reality. Humanity was no longer a junior member seeking approval. They were an equal power offering partnership. Trade agreements were signed. Navigation rights were established. Cultural exchange programs were proposed. The galaxy's political balance had shifted permanently. On the final day, as the human fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Reynolds stood once more before the Council. "5 years ago, you voted to banish Earth because you feared we were too dangerous for your civilized galaxy," he said. "You were right to fear us, but not for the reasons you thought. We were never dangerous because we were aggressive or violent. We were dangerous because we refused to accept that anything was impossible." He paused, looking around the chamber at the alien faces that had once judged humanity unworthy. "You tried to contain us, and we became unconfinable. You tried to limit us, and we became limitless. You tried to banish us, and we became something greater than you ever imagined possible." As the human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speeds, heading back to the Free Zone, Reynolds composed his final report to the Free Zone Council. Mission accomplished. The galaxy now knows that humanity has returned. Not as the species they banished, but as the civilization they made possible. They voted to banish Earth, but they forgot that Earth was never what made humanity strong. What made us strong was our refusal to give up, our willingness to go further than anyone thought possible, and our determination to turn every obstacle into an opportunity. The next time someone tries to tell humanity where we can and cannot go, they will remember this day. They will remember that when you try to cage humans, you do not get prisoners. You get humans with nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The age of human dominance had begun, and it had started with a single word: banished.